GoLoud.
Welcome back to the Weekly Roast. How's it going, guys? How the hell are you? How are your hearts? And of course, how are your heads? Guys, what's going on? Welcome back. It's good to be back. It feels like a galactic amount of time since I've been sitting in this seat, even though it's only a week. Alas, I am now here with the ring on my finger, and I am a married man. So I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you to everybody for all of your enormously kind wishes over the last couple of weeks about both the wedding, but then also about the honeymoon thereafter. I haven't even begun trying to get through all of the messages, but I just want to say I genuinely, truly appreciate it. You don't realise the difference that it makes receiving a lovely few words from perfect strangers. So genuinely, thank you so much for all of the support in the build-up to the wedding and throughout the last couple of weeks. And on that, of more importance than matrimony, I would like to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the Patreon. On the Patreon, that's where I do all of my writing. If you enjoy my work, if you enjoy the podcast, if you enjoy my articles, if you enjoyed my book, if you subscribe to the Patreon, you will get a new article from me every single week. It could be a travel review. It could be answering somebody's questions in a little bit more of an in-depth way than I do on the podcast. And most of all, you'll just be supporting me so I can continue doing all of the work like this. So patreon.com/Mark Megan. Most recently, I did an article about our honeymoon, a full travel review of Copenhagen, the Ice Hotel, the Northern Lights, and of course the Tree Hotel. The week before was actually on my wedding day, and I released an article about my nerves and anxiety surrounding the wedding. So patreon.com/Mark Megan. And last but not least, I have noticed since the weekend, a couple of hundred of you have subscribed, but I don't know if you have access to the work. So if you are subscribed to the Patreon, make sure that you're on the right subscription in order to be able to read the work there. Thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate it. Now, guys, as always, sitting here, buried between my Christmas kegs and guzzling from my leaking teats, the lactose baby who drinks milk like gravy, kneading my breasts like a baker possessed, the Nicky Lauda of loudly licking Mickeys, titties, the man of memories who edits your memories, the source and cause of all my energy. It's Kieran. How are we, boy?
I'm drinking milk and eating your wedding cake.
Oh, welcome back to the Weekly Roast with myself and my man Kieran, who is currently eating wedding cake. The best story from today's show will receive a hand-delivered, maybe not hand-delivered, probably use FedEx or DHL. Definitely not Fastway, by the way, or Fastaway Cowboys. But the best submission to today's show will receive some wedding cake. So let me know which story you think is the best. Nevertheless, here we are. It's the roast of office parties. The season is upon us. I hope you won't mind if my voice is a little bit raspy. I seem to have picked up that Christmas cough that's doing the rounds. So forgive the little bit of Beth Laflamme. Do you like that? Nevertheless, it's the roast of office Christmas parties. The do's, the don'ts, and the did you nots. Let's go.
So in any Christmas party that we are still having veiled threats before any Christmas party or event as a result of, one of the nurses was disciplined for writing on the prep table in the kitchen of the hotel. Someone later on that night broke into the kitchen and ate the top tier of a wedding cake. There was lots and lots of schnockta. Then someone, it's said a porter, jumped off a table onto a light fixture and swung off it. Then one male nurse went between 3 bedrooms. His ego to this day lives in hospital folklore. The entire hospital was banned from ever having a function in that hotel ever again. And years on, we are still blacklisted from that hotel.
I love the way, this is all completely insane, and who would have known that nurses are mental? No, but like the guy going between 3 rooms in one night is derangement. I mean, it's as if it's like a sort of Gay Byrne hosted TV show. Do you know what I mean? In room number 1, we've got Kleina from Mulhudders. You know, in room number 2, we've got Anya from Bakerstown, and in room number 3, we've got Kieran, the milky little angel boy. But like 3 rooms in one night is too much. It's too much shagging. It's way too much. Do you ever go to Irish college growing up?
Yeah.
Guess how many girls I kissed in Irish college?
32.
54.
Oh.
I went down a frigid, by the way, which means that you haven't kissed, met, shifted, wore, snogged, whatever word you use to describe it. I went to Coláiste Acla, Achill Irish College, and I was a frigid, and it was my biggest fear was the fact that, I was going to be found out as a frigid. That was always the terror. Not having pubes and being found out as a frigid when you were like 12. Genuinely. Show us your pubes. Please don't make me do this, Dad. But, no, but going down to Irish college, I was terrified about being found out as a frigid, and I fell in love in the first week. Okay? The girl called Ciara. This is a 100% true story. She's married now and has a child. Very happy for you, Ciara. Mark, so are you. I'm very happy for you, Mark. But she was my first true love, and we kissed on the dance floor. The first teenage disco, I was wearing a Slipknot hoodie. That is true as the day. Anyway, I didn't know how. I've spoken about this before in the podcast. I didn't know how to kiss. There's no conversation amongst guys as to how to do these things. It's just like, you've got a small willy, but you haven't seen my willy. Yeah, but I can assume it's small. Well, it is small. We're all young here. How big are our willies supposed to be? But anyway, I didn't know how to kiss, so I had my eyes wide open. And my hands like were behind her back, but I was like, because my eyes were open, I thought it would be really cool to like give people the finger as they walk by. So I was there like scoring her with my eyes open and giving people the finger, thinking I was rock solid. I was like, this is historic. It's historically cringe, Mark. She broke up with me the next day as a result. And so that was the end of it. So I was like, well, there's only one way to respond to this, which is, by the way, a behaviour mechanism that would stick with me for about 2 decades thereafter, where if I'm hurt and afraid, just double down. Just act like it doesn't bother you. So I went off and I just became, I think we played this game, Beat the Gigolo, where you just go around the discos and the Kayleys and you'd be like, do you want to play a game of Pass the Polo? Pff, gone. The polo would come within 6 inches of your face, steady, and you just spit it out, and then you'd kiss people. So anyway, I was still kissing people on the train coming into Houston Station. That's genuinely a true story. Tanya from South Tip, 54 in 3 weeks. So there you go. 3 rooms in one night, though, is bananas. Now, back to this. Dear Lord, what a sad little life. What's that from? Do you know that? Dear Lord, what a sad little life, Jane. You've ruined my night. I hope you enjoy the money, but maybe you could spend it on getting some lessons in grace and decorum, because you've all the grace of a reversing dump truck with no tyres on. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, nurses swinging from the chandeliers, riding on the kitchen tables. Merry fucking Christmas. What a way to start the pod. Let's go.
So a couple of years ago, a friend of mine got pregnant at our Christmas party.
Good stuff.
And the night of the Christmas party, she'd been having sex with a guy in the back of his car.
Good stuff.
And at the time, she was trying for a baby with her husband.
Good stuff.
And a couple of weeks after the Christmas party, she announced that she was pregnant. And obviously, like, she made a very big deal of, like, it was definitely her husband's. And, like, even though some people were aware of what happened and some people weren't. And then a couple of weeks later, she decided to go on sick leave. And the husband does not know what happened at the Christmas party. And nobody knows whose baby it is.
That is just like, come on. The levels of slop there. Jerry Springer, Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake. That is a soap slopper. That is, Julie, it's me, Steve, your mum's sister. My mother's sister is working in the Marine Corps, just south of Saipan. She hasn't been seen since the 1980s, when the wing of a Spitfire was shot down from a spud gun over Portside Bay. You don't just get to turn up like this, out of the blue, at me godson's hamster's gender reveal fortnight party and tell me that you've purchased the Hillchester Arms and you'd like to turn it into a hairdresser. What the bloomin' hell is going on here? I don't know. Like, okay, soap operas. Bananas. That voice note. Bananas. The expression Kieran currently has in his face. Bananas. Okay. If you're trying for a baby, you're not supposed to try with other people.
Oh.
Even from my rudimentary knowledge of the reproduction system, okay? You're supposed to try with your husband, not with somebody on the back seat of the car, which, by the way, is both uncomfortable for you, your suitor, and the car, okay? Sex in the back seat of a car, good luck. Sex in the shower, Kieran, good luck. I'm not a fan. Sex in the shower is one of those things, like, people want to like, but in action, it's actually shite, okay? Like exercise or maintaining good mental health. Do you know what I mean? Ostensibly it's great and romantic and seductive, but the thing about having sex in the shower is one of you always doesn't get enough water. And it's always me. And I'm always standing there and my pale nude arse is like on the edge, hanging out over the side, cold, and I'm getting shivers. Do you know what I mean? Oh, lift me up against the wall. Are you mental? I couldn't do a lunge like without anything in my hand, let alone on this death trap, holding on to a SpongeBob shower curtain for leverage. This is just sex in the shower. Absolutely not. This whole thing. Absolutely not. Let's go on, Kieran.
Hi, Mark. My office Christmas party experience was very entertaining. A good few years ago, we went out for dinner, the usual, and then ended up in a pub. And one of the girls who can never handle a drink and has been a disaster ever since was found in the smoking area, sitting next to some random fella with her jacket on his lap, giving him a hand job. And needless to say, the whole office was talking about it for months after. And one of the biggest nosebags in the office claimed she saw the fella the next day and knew all about him. He's married and has 2 children and all so on. Which is very funny. Thanks very much. Love your podcast.
Thank you very much. And outrageous, unbelievable, horrendous, dare I say it, derangement levels of... I mean, we've gone from North Face to Cum Face very quickly there, haven't we, Kieran? You coming outside? Yeah, I am, yeah. Just going to grab my coat. Oh, is it cold? No, it's balmy. But I wouldn't mind draping the anorak over my lap and letting you tug the life out of me. Like, this is good stuff. Who did you have in the Secret Santa, by the way? I see Mairead from accounts got a willy straw again, do you know? This is just... Do you remember your first hand job? From another person, like... Let's be honest. The excitement of receiving your first ever hand job growing up was biblical. You know... The idea of somebody else doing the thing that you love the most is just, it was, you know, they say in order to be an expert in anything, you need to have 10,000 hours of doing it. I'd say at the age of 13, I was like 10,000 experts. Do you know what I mean? This was, so the idea of getting, I remember the first ever time I got a hand job. I've spoken about it before at my live shows. It was at a free gaff, okay? And I walked in, I think I was maybe 14 years of age. It was one of those ones where the parents had gone out to do like a long shop in the supermarket and it was like, quick, we'll have a 90-minute free gaff. You know those loons that would have them? I was always far too afraid. But anyway, we went into this free gaff, okay? And the guys, you know, the girls were in one room in the kitchen, like having deep and meaningful conversations about puberty and growing up and being there for each other. And the guys were in arm wrestling and talking about how small each other's penises were with tears in their eyes, you know? Anyway, we're in 2 rooms, and then my friend Jack, okay, eventually sort of bridged the gap, and he goes over and, you know, makes conversation with the girls, like asking them ridiculous questions like, what school do you think Ryan from the OC would have gone to if he lived in Dublin? Do you know what I mean? Absolutely inane. Terranure. But anyway, Jack then comes back with the good news. One of the girls fancies you, Mark. Okay? Which is, at the age, like, that is music to the ears of a 14-year-old boy. And especially me, because I was the chubby one, you know? I still had the crumbs of yesterday's crisps stuck to my chin, you know what I mean? The little Dorito pawed Megan. So I couldn't understand the fact that she fancied me. And I was like, oh, but what do you mean? Like, he was like, yeah, well, she thinks you're funny, you've got a good taste in music. Correct, but this is the greatest night of my life. She also said she wants to give you a hand job. Well, that's extremely specific. That is like extremely specific, but at the end of the day, of course, I'll take it. I would put my penis in a NutriBullet at the moment if I thought it would simulate sex. I'm 14 years of age. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, and she also wants to do it outside in the shrubs because we're not allowed to go upstairs. So Grant, good thinking. Makes sense. And it was only then, okay, that I looked down, opened my Adidas rip-offs. You know, they used to call them rip-offs, the little button-up pants. And I looked in to see if I was wearing my good boxers, which were like my one pair of Calvin Klein boxers that I got for Christmas 4 years beforehand. And it struck me to ask the question, which one of the girls was it, Jack? Which girl was it? Now, just to paint a picture, okay? All of these girls were absolutely perfect and lovely as they were, okay? They were all very beautiful and unique. One of them was just a little bit more unique than the others, okay? All of the other girls had names like Sarah, Clodagh, Jessica, okay? This girl's name was Fuentia, all right? She was wearing an outfit that looked like it had been constructed using only the items from the middle section of Lidl, do you know what I mean? With like an apron that said Kiss the Chef as a t-shirt and a garden hose as a belt. Novelty foam fixer fingers as gloves and a travel size kettle as a hairpiece. I was like, which one was it, Jack? Mark, which one was it, Jack? You know, we both knew. We walk out into the garden, right? And I'm on my tippy toes throughout the whole thing. A, because I'm wearing a pair of my brother's runners, which I'd stolen, and I didn't want to get them dirty. But B, my friend Ian Murphy in school had told me that if you lean forward on your tippy toes, it makes your penis look bigger. So anyway, we get out into the undergrowth. She leans in for the kiss, okay? Her breath smelled like salt and vinegar crisps and Catholicism, okay? And then we start going at it. And without even like 2 seconds of kissing, she reaches down for the little fella, okay? And I wasn't ready. I wasn't even like erect, okay? And she starts going at it in a way that one might like try to kickstart the engine of a scrambler. Or the outboard engine on a dinghy. Do you know what I mean? She was just pulling at it and like it was the sorest thing in the world. And then she like kept reaching at the back as if there was going to be more, as if there was going to be extra dick, like as if this was like only the amuse bouche. This was just the start of it, that there was actually a hidden 4 inches out behind the other. You know, this is it, Fuentia. Anyway, she eventually found her rhythm. My hips were moving. Our lips were grooving. And then it built until suddenly, in one quick, instant, powerful feeling of nirvana, my whole body went cold. Butterflies were released through my veins. The heavens sang and the angels soared. Electricity shot through my body, and for the first time in the history of my existence, I knew what it was like to feel alive. And then I woke up and it was all a wet dream.
Hi Mark, loving the podcast. This was a Christmas party a few years ago. My boss owns a hotel and he was acting Billy Big Balls all night. And when we sat down to have the dinner, it was like long tables, so someone had his back to him and we just happened to turn around and look at his phone and he was watching porn through the whole dinner. Didn't even have his dinner. I don't think he was enjoying the porn too much.
Acting Billy Big Balls. Acting Billy Blue Balls by the sounds of things. This is completely insane. Prawn cocktail, sir? No, porn. Cocks on males, actually. Thank you, though. Melon? Yes, 2 actually, massive ones. On this girl from Tallahassee. She's currently doing the reverse cowgirl. Like, you can't be watching the porn at a family function or an office. Like, having to use his sweaty festive thumbs to click X on the pop-up ads that show up. Do you know what I mean? This is like something out of a movie. You know, in movies where the idiot dads are at someone's prom or a funeral or a wedding and they're down the back of the church and they're all crowded around a portable television watching like the Super Bowl. Do you know what I mean? This is actually, sorry, when we were flying from Stockholm to Kiruna in northern Sweden last week, a guy comes down and sits beside me on the plane. He was one of these guys, late 30s, okay, wearing an outfit that you could practically download from the internet. You know, one of those people who thinks that his salary is a substitute for a personality. You know, he has money, this guy, and that's his thing. His go-to clothing choices are just always the most expensive options, but there's never thought or consideration put into what he's wearing or his style. So he actually just looks ridiculous. I know that that's very judgmental of me, but you could sort of get this from the way that he was like flexing and flashing all of the bits and pieces and the items that he was adorning. Anyway, he was effectively just a walking emblem of income, okay? He sits down beside me and he was emitting the same levels of aftershave as most contemporary duty-free stores, okay? It was like every time he moved even slightly, he was wearing this one aftershave, and I swear to God, I don't know the name of it, but somebody might be able to help me. It seems to be synonymous with like the sort of Essex life coach, PT type character. You get it every now and then. You go up to Blanche, you go into Dundrum Shopping Centre, you go into town, any sort of main commercial area, you will always get, like, they walk by you, and then you'll get the smell for fucking like 3 streets after. No, it's not you. You get it for like 3 streets afterwards. Anyway, this guy, I could just tell he was giving off massive douchebag energy. He starts then taking out like 2 work phones and his iPad and blah, blah, blah. Just like really trying to like, look at how busy I am. Look at how busy I am. He plugged his AirPods into his iPad, which is one of those, or like a big Galaxy tablet, and starts playing something, but the screen was black. I swear to God this is true, okay? Just as we're taking off, I'm like leaning, Darren's at the window seat, I'm in the middle. I'm like, turned to him like, the fucking smell of this guy, it's driving me up the wall. I look back and the light came on his Galaxy on the tablet, and he was watching a YouTube video, how to approach women in public. Don't. By the way, just don't. Just don't approach them, you fucking lunatic. And it was like, there we go. That just was, it was the big, I felt like I'd seen him nude. It was so uncomfortable. But also, this like pervert Patrick Bateman-esque character just sitting there with his downloaded fucking life. How to approach women in public. Don't, mate. Don't. If you have to YouTube it, don't. And like you... excuse me, you know, what would the advice be? How to approach women in public? Oh, go up and ask them, have they seen the chandelier store? That will immediately disarm them and play to their black curiosity. Do you know, just if you have to ask, it's clearly that it should not be done. Do you know what I mean? There we go, Mark. Happy on your high horse? On we go. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the weekly roast. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show today, send me a DM on Instagram at Megan Mark. You know how much I love hearing from you. It spurs me on and keeps me going through the colder days and the darkest of nights. Genuinely, your support means the world to me. And it's hugely reassuring to hear that you're enjoying the show. So shoot me a DM on Instagram at Megan Mark. And if you're enjoying the podcast, click the link in the bio, patreon.com/Mark Megan. Now, let us get into it. Univa, let's go.
Hi Mark, love the podcast. I couldn't let this one go without highlighting our story from last year. So last year at our work Christmas party, you know, we were all having a good time. Some of us a little bit too much, a lot of drink. And for context, we all work in a family-run business. So my colleague, she sat down in between the owner and his wife. And quite late on in the night, we'd all had a lot to drink. She decided that she was going to describe in detail how she'd like to have sex with his son in front of the husband and wife. I proceeded then to describe the ideal penis type and size that she liked to her boss and all of that. All of us really. And needless to say, we were all mortified for her. And fair fucks to her. She came into work the following Monday and acted like it never happened. I'd have to resign myself if that ever happened to me, but fair fucks to her.
The ideal penis type and size. Kieran, can I show you something? Us at the office, our own little office Christmas party, you coming out with milk all over your face. Me wearing strap-on udders. You suck at each other. Suck them, baby. Nevertheless, yeah, describing your office's, your boss's son's phallus to the boss is bananas. And also, when you say saying that you'd like to have sex with the son in front of the boss and his wife, did he mean you'd like to have the sex in front of the boss and the wife with the son, or just Either way, it's all absolutely, as you would say, my boy, Durante Mon, Eva. Let's go.
So many years ago, we were at a Christmas party in a hotel and we were in the function room. So it came to the end of the night and we were all hunted out to the reception to make our way home. It was around your 2 o'clock in the morning job, and looked over to the lift. There was two married people, male, one female in the lift. They were not married to each other, by the way, and they were starting kissing and rubbing and mauling and stripping, and they didn't realise that the lift was glass. So we all started roaring up at them, and who was beside me looking up at them with the partner of one of them who was not impressed, but the two fools in the lift proceeded to carry on going to the bedroom. So yeah, that was a Christmas party to remember. FYI, one of them ended up being separated after that night. So yeah. Thank you. Love the show. Bye.
Good God. We're kissing and mulling and mauling, by the way. Mauling sounds like predatory cats, playing with the bodies of gazelles in the Serengeti. Is everybody having an affair these days in Ireland? Have we just become the French? Are we French people now in Ireland? Like, what's going on? As well, I love the fact that you say that his partner, one of their partners was there and she was not impressed. That has to be the understatement of the century. Up there with, like, Irish comedians doing videos about Irish mammies at Christmas not being funny. Of course, like, that is the biggest understatement of the century. I cannot believe what that must have looked like or felt like for the partner involved. And I'm very, very sorry they had to endure that. Although I will talk, speaking of passionate kissing, okay, well, I've spoken about that. I don't believe in passionate kissing, okay? It's too much. Anytime anybody is passionate, stop that. I'm not that good. I'm not that good, like. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's that good at kissing. You're just not. Kira in Irish college, she learned it the first. There will hopefully be the last. I'm not that good. When someone starts, like, just get your breath together. You're fine, okay? You're not on the Hillary step. Do you know what I mean? The oxygen isn't leaving your lungs. You're having a smooch. Passionate kissing is not for me. I got the kiss on top of the aisle wrong, apparently. I triple dipped. I went back for seconds and thirds. Yeah, I am. So I leant in. I thought you had to hold it. The whole idea was that you hold the kiss, and then then the photos get taken and the cheers go up. But so I lean in, I kissed there, and then she pulled away after a few seconds. But yeah, so she pulls away. So I was like, no, we have to go again. So I leant in again, and then she pulled away again. This isn't a metaphor either for the marriage. And then she pulled away again, and then went in for thirds. And eventually, Brother Richard was like, "Mark, the police are on their way." Sir, you have to. Sir, this is a Wendy's. Anyway, yeah, good God, I'm glad they got caught. Let's go.
Okay, so this is going back about 10 years ago. It was my first proper job out of college. It was working in a big accountancy firm in Dublin. So it was my first, like, proper work Christmas party. And there was a free bar, which I, of course, availed of. And as the night went on and the drinks had been flowing, I had got chatting to my senior manager and a couple of others. And he was going on about how he had recently started in the gym and he wanted to get fitter, and that he was going on about that he was going to have a six-pack or whatever. Like, we were all fairly well on. And then I don't know what came over me, but I decided to rip his shirt open to see if he had a six-pack. I think then he walked away. I didn't think much of it because I was very drunk. And then over the weekend, like, I didn't remember it at all. It didn't cross my mind. Until the following Monday, I was back in work and I was sitting at my desk. I overheard people saying, and then she ripped his shirt off and he had to go home, and it, like, ruined his night. And my first thought was, oh, how embarrassing. I'd hate to be that girl. Like, that's absolutely mortifying. And then I had the horrendous realization with the most horrific flashback that was actually me, and I had ripped his shirt open. Like, the anxiety I felt that day was something else, like the palpitations. Like, oh God, even thinking about it now makes me sick. But I just hid on a different floor for the rest of the day, and I requested annual leave. So it was about 2 weeks before Christmas. and I didn't come back then till the new year, and it's still like I felt sick going back into work, and I didn't actually stay there that long after that because I just couldn't deal with it.
Okay, that's phenomenal. Like, that is phenomenal. It's also that is your worst nightmare. The worst nightmare is, and I mean, by the way, I am no stranger to this from my years of drinking. Like those days where you think you've evaded the full wrath of the horrors, and then you begin your day as normal before face planting into a flashback while standing in the shower or getting on the bus to work. It is the worst. Do you ever get that, Kieran? You think you're fine though, and you're like, this is grand. I've gotten away scot-free. I could do a 5K and post about it on Instagram. I'm absolutely grand. And then at 3 o'clock, you just go, oh my God, I was at the milk last night. 2 flagons of it poured all over my body. You know what I mean? We had a dairy set. Like, this is... Okay, the ripping of the shirt is really bad. That is bad. But I would like to say, if it makes you feel any better, okay, what sort of cringe... What is your boss doing talking to people about him planning on getting a 6-pack? Do you know what I mean? That's something that needs to be worth addressing. Yeah, thinking of getting myself a 6-pack. As if it's an air fryer or a GoPro. Do you know what I mean? Good luck with that, Shane. I'm thinking of growing an extra inch downstairs after my encounter with Fuencha. Like, you know, thinking of what boring, like preposterously cringy male small talk. Yeah, thinking of getting into fitness and getting myself one of those 6-packs. Although I will say this, I am not always the best at small talk, right? We went snowmobiling last week here, okay, up in northern Sweden. It was 5 hours long. I can't think of any activity that's fun for 5 hours. Genuinely. There is nothing. There are literal chemsex parties in East London currently happening that will draw to a more natural close in less time than 5 hours. 5 hours is too long for anything. Anyway, the idea was that you get a dimly lit romantic meal included. So me and Darren signed up for it. I didn't realise that the dimly lit meal was with the group. So we then had to do that visceral torture of going around the room and introducing yourself and saying your name. Okay? And I, in all my wisdom, I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I put a mad accent on?
No.
So I was like, it's gotten a laugh on the podcast. It's time to road test this baby out in real life. So everyone goes around, they're like, yes, my name is Peter, and this is my wife Lotte. We're from Amsterdam. We live in Harlem. Yeah, good day, mate. My name's, how you going? My name's Melanie. I'm from Sydney, New South Australia. I came here with my mum. Then you have one guy going, John from Tip. What do you mean Tip, John? John from Tip. You can't just say Tip as if everybody's, you know what I mean? As if everyone's supposed to know that. Like, yeah, John from Tip. Oh, is it? Yeah, of course the one from Sydney knows where Tip is. The 9th flag at the G8 summit. You know what I mean? So then it comes to me and I was like, right, it's time to win the room over, Mark. It's time to light the fire under their arses. So I just thought I would do an impression. This is what I said. Okay? If you want to see another light, you are got to focus on the LS. It is colder than a cola can outside in the refrigerator. There is a smoky cloud of green and a whimsical flash of color right above your heads. You just need some patience. Beloved, I am sleeping in an igloo tonight with my wife. Like a penguin, but not the one from Batman. The little bird with a white tummy and feet. Like a baby. Have you ever touched a man? Why you come to Sweden and say I want to go on a honeymoon? This is not a honeymoon. This is a cold moon. This is a foot up the ass moon. Complete silence. Someone's like, who's going to get rid of this guy? We're going to get rid of the fucking Irish guy. He's a fucking loose cannon.
Right, so I went to my Christmas party. It was about 2 weeks ago now, nearly. But it was on in a hotel. Dinner, DJ, dancing, the whole lot. Obviously, I have a work crush, as many people do. Helps you get through the work day. Bit of flirty banter at the desk, what have you. But then we went and absolutely ruined that by actually getting together. You're never meant to cross that line. You're meant to keep it as like a professional, but also flirty kind of situation. You know the way. But yeah, so a group of colleagues were getting their picture taken by the photographer, and in the background, on the way to the bathroom, he caught me and we had a little smooch, and the moment was captured forever by a professional photographer right there, very obviously in the background of these colleagues getting their picture taken. So the event planner of our office got sent these photos, put them into a slideshow, up it goes on the TV that sits in the office for everyone to see. And of course, she didn't look through them before she whacked them all up, because there was probably 100 pictures, and there we are in the background. Of course, it was a big scene, show and dance. I've never been more red or scarlet in my life, and now I can't look him in the eye. So I've ruined everything, and now the CEO knows that I'm smooching people on a Christmas night out. So anyway, it doesn't actually sound as bad, but it was hell. It was the worst day of my life.
Ah, God love you. Well, look, I want you to feel, rest assured, that like that's not, excuse me, it's not that bad. It really isn't that bad. And people, as somebody wisely told me last year, people aren't thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you, ever. That's like never the case. At most, you are a fleeting thought across somebody's consciousness and then it's gone. So like, really don't worry about it. But also, you've hit the nail on the head in the way that you described office romances, I think, because they are always more attractive when they're out of arm's reach. Do you know what I mean? It's like David Mitchell, the comedian, in his book, he talks about the great British dream of relocation to Spain. You know, Barbara and Keith have sold up shop from Doncaster and they've moved over to the Costa del Sol. He talks about the great British dream of going to Spain. But what happens then? What happens when you're in Spain? Do you know what I mean? The house in Spain is the psychological carrot that keeps us going in the hard winter months. You don't actually want to move to Spain. So the office romance, the sort of minor flirtations that aren't really laden in anything more than just whimsy, that's fine because it's not real. Once you actually have it, what's left? Do you know what I mean? To use another example, the first time I learned a lesson around this was my mum came home from the body shop as kids, right? When we were kids. And she had those, it was back when bath bombs started becoming popular, but not the hard ones. These, like, do you remember the body shop used to do little small, like, balls, but they were filled with liquid, but they smelled fucking unbelievable. I remember going, I want to eat one of those. My mum was like, you can't eat them, fatso. She didn't say that. She didn't say that. My mum would never speak to me like that. But she was like, you can't eat them, Mark. That's soap. Do you know what I mean? You won't. It's not going to taste nice. But I was like, but it smells nice, and I want it. Anyway, she went out to do one of like a long food shop one day, and I snuck up to the bathroom. Like, you know, wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't be the last, but. No, teenage years to my 20s, sneaking off into bathrooms was the only constant in my life. Thank God that's changed. Nevertheless, snuck off to the bathroom and I found the stash of bath balls and I smelt them again. Nope, but wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't be the last time. But I got the snaz out and I was sniffing them, and then I thought, let's go for it. And I popped one into my mouth like it was a gobstopper, and I bit on it, and I got sick everywhere. And I started, to be honest with you, I started crying, because then I thought I was poisoning myself. And Mum came home from the shops, and you know the way you get that milky ring around your mouth and everything? I had this like green rung of soap around my face. I was like, Mum, the bath bomb. She was like, oh, for the love of God, I don't know what to do with you. Anyway, I was fine. I survived it. Nothing wrong ever happened thereafter in my life. But still, it was a lesson learned in the bath bombs are good because you could only smell them and see them from far away. You don't actually want to taste them. Basically, you snogged a bath bomb and you got caught in photos and you were photobombed. On we go. Guys, I hope you are enjoying the festive season. I hope you are enjoying the weekly roast. I hope you are enjoying me and my milky man of madness, Kieran. It's so good to be here. Guys, I can't believe this year is nearly coming to an end. This is the second last podcast of the year. We have one normal one next week, and then, will I tell them about Christmas Day?
Yeah.
No. Okay, so Christmas Day is a Wednesday this year, and I've got something special planned for you. So I understand that your normal listening habits are going to be completely thrown into disarray, and I'm tailoring for that and allowing for that, and I'm working tirelessly behind the scenes with Kieran to put something together that will go out on Christmas Day. But after today, we only have one more week before Christmas, so let me know what you'd like roasted, as that will be the last roast of the year. We're taking 1 week off for New Year's, and then we're back into the hot seat. But Yeah, let me know what you think. And let me know if you've enjoyed this podcast over the year. Apple Podcast #1 new comedy podcast of the year. It's been honestly such an honour. If you enjoy it, you know what to do. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Mark Megan. Shoot us a message on Instagram @MeganMark. And thank you so much for being with us. Now look, the final section, let's get into it. Happy Christmas to you all. I'll see you next week. It's also my birthday next week, so wish me a happy birthday. Happy birthday, let's go.
Last year at our Christmas night out, our manager got extremely drunk at bottomless brunch. So this was like 4 p.m. She started going into extreme detail about how she couldn't wait to go home, tell her new man that she'd started going out with, because she'd recently discovered her G-spot. Now, the worst part about this all, like, this woman is in her mid-50s with children in their 30s, the same age as our whole team. And we know them as well. But her ex-husband is the manager of the department next door to us. So we see him on a daily basis and know that this man has never discovered her G-spot, which is probably why they ended up divorced.
Oh God, I can't imagine what it'd be like to not know where the G-spot is. That'd be, fucking idiots. Can you imagine that? Absolute clowns. Not being able to, where is the G-spot? Hold on a second there. Imagine not knowing that the G-spot is a commonly described as a sensitive area located inside the vagina along the anterior, about 1 to 3 inches in from the vaginal wall. Yeah, imagine not knowing that. Losers. Happy Christmas.
Hi, Mark. So, at an old company of mine, every Christmas we used to get in a lot of temporary staff, and all the guys would go through all the list with the pictures of the girls in the system and basically make a list of who they thought they'd want to score at Christmas parties. They were talking like fantasy football type conversations. They'd be like, yeah, no, she looks good, wouldn't take her foul stuff. And then at one of our Christmas parties then, 2 of the team managers ended up getting in a fight over one of the girls, which was really embarrassing for everyone because they all should know him better. But it wasn't their finest moment. But yeah, that's just the start of what had happened at one of my work parties.
Good God. Men making lists. That's pretty much how Facebook started. And I might say, by the way, although lists are the friend of ADHD, they are the enemy of mankind. On a macro level, when you think about it, when groups of human beings come together and start making lists, that's when things begin to go awry. Schindler would be the obvious exception, of course. And then Santa. Okay, there too. We'll give them that. There too. I'm talking about lists on the internet. And is anybody else sick of this? Is anybody else sick of this perennial cataloguing of coffees, pints, pizzas, and every other food stuff superfluously ranked on Instagram by random punters without any explanation as to why one thing is even better than the other or why their taste is worth trusting? Do you know what I mean? The top 4 places to get a cheese toastie in Dingle. Says who? Why? Why? Why is that? Maybe it's just a hangover from COVID, by the way, but I also feel like we've gone too far with toasties. We get it, do you know what I mean? Whatever happened to the humble toastie from the Irish pub that doesn't have butter up its arse and coming out of its mouth? Do you know what I mean? The standard, normal, toasted special that isn't built by brioche with more cheese than a fondue party in 1974 and doesn't cost €11.50. Do you know what I mean? We have reached peak nonsense with toasties and somebody has to say something. Nowadays, you barely get change from a score just for a waterlogged loaf of Brennan's covered in a congealed yellow blob of slop vaguely resembling rubbery fromage. Do you know? Also, we get, and do ya? Yeah, we get it. It was fun to pronounce at the beginning, but we've had enough. It's everywhere. To those lists on the internet. 100 places to eat sushi in East Waterford. Written by a 22-year-old from South Dublin who eats fish finger sandwiches for breakfast. Do you know what I mean? And uses his neighbour's Wi-Fi to watch porn. Everything is a list these days. Top 5 flat whites in Ranelagh. Top 10 Irish soap companies. Anyway, those male fantasies, good luck. Spoofers, bad boys, bad people, bad men. Most male fantasies are very elementary. Let's be honest, Kieran. Every man in the universe has daydreamed at least once about stopping a bank robbery or overpowering a hijacker on a flight. Yeah. That's the big 9/11. Yeah, like, I'd say now, if I was there, I probably would have done something. You know, would you have? Yeah, would you, Oisin? Yeah, like, if you're, at the end of the day, like, yeah, if fully you're going to die, would you not just, like, mangle one of those Al Qaeda lads? Like, they're usually strings a pit. What do you mean, usually? Yeah, no, like, if that was me now, I probably would have just taken, like, my food tray and, like, swung that over one of them and then grabbed the other lad by the beard and, like, gotten in. Do you know, why is it that guys secretly think that they can prevent every fucking terror attack in the world? Yeah, if that was me now with the Unabomber, what I would have done is, do you know what I mean? Such a niche fucking arrogance of South Dublin guys to think that they could have prevented some of the world's biggest atrocities. Yeah, okay, last but not least, another fantasy that I've always had, I've always wanted to trash a supermarket with a golf club. Is that too niche? Maybe Dale Winton got into me. Steady on! My milky boy!
Hi, Mark. So yeah, my company had a Christmas party last week, and it's a huge party, thousands of people, but notably open bar. And I'm fairly new to the company, so I was kind of sticking with the girls my own age. And then kind of later in the night, one of the girls starts going on about how her body count is 130 plus people. She says she stopped counting at 130, kept going on and on about it. And then, so one of my colleagues' boyfriends leaned in and kind of asked her, so how do you manage that? And she revealed that she is a dominatrix for hire. Yeah. And I think she told him not to tell anyone, so naturally everybody knows now. Also, on a side note, at the end of the party, a couple of us headed up to the hotel room that my fiance and I were staying in just to drop off some stuff before heading out. And she had texted some boy that she'd been talking to meet her at the room to head out into town. And within 5 minutes of us all being in the hotel room, she was straddling him with her tongue down his throat like, I don't know, a 17-year-old at a disco or something. But she's a 27-year-old. So, yeah, fun night. Great introduction of my fiance to all my coworkers.
I have never, am I just getting old, or have you ever heard the phrase body count?
Yeah.
I've never heard that. 130 is a lot.
Without judging,
Without judging.
that is a fairly significant number.
Thank you, Kieran.
Without judging.
Without judging. I'm also like, I'm amazed at that she could keep it a secret. Did you know that we have a dominatrix working here? No. Which one was it? Is it Jenny with the prawn cocktail breath? No. Is it Kevin, who always talks about GAA? No. Is it Fiona in the gimp mask? It could be. The one who wears the skin-tight Colleen black bags into the team meetings. Could be her. It could be the one in the leather jumpsuit. I've always wondered about dominatrix people. Does the dominatrix basically just whip you, or do people also? I didn't realise people had sex with dominatrixes. I thought it was just like you go to a dominatrix and they like, I don't know, they dress you up like, you know, they tie you up and then they whip you. That's what I thought a dominatrix was. I didn't think that there was actually intercourse involved.
I watched a documentary once.
Okay.
I watched a documentary once, and the lady was a dominatrix, and men came to her house. She dressed up in all the gear, and they cleaned her house.
Love it.
And she shouted at them.
Love it.
What a gig.
What a gig. That's, in terms of travel agents, estate agents and recruiters, that's number 4 on the you're stealing a living. Do you know what I mean?
Hey Mark, huge fan of the show. Congrats on your recent wedding. Also a huge fan of wedding cake, as it happens. Anyway, my Christmas party was my first job out of college. It was a bit wild. Everyone was young, and they used to get a little bit messy. It was the type that was always in a hotel. People would stay over. The people who always stayed over actually were the married ones, but they didn't bring their spouses. There was a lot of room swapping going on. One particular Christmas party, they had entertainment there that was a limbo show. So they had these dancers with limbo dancing under flames, playing drums, things like that. But they got members of the audience up to do a limbo competition. One girl was absolutely off her face. Well, everyone was off their faces. This girl in particular, though, got really low in the limbo. And anyone sitting in the front row got a very interesting show, because at first we thought she was going commando under her lovely Christmas party dress, but actually no, in fairness, she was wearing a thong, but the thong was, shall we say, in between what it was meant to be covering. No. So anyone sitting in the front row got a full view as she did the limbo.
First and foremost, limbos are up there with conga lines, flash mobs, or acoustic guitar sing-alongs. They are only ever done by bellends. That's the fact, okay? Now, moving on to much more serious matters. If you are wearing underwear that is likely to enter a process of erosion, okay, and ultimately be absorbed by your genitals, don't go doing the limbo. Do you know what I mean? If you're experiencing the vaginal equivalent of a Venus flytrap scenario, okay? Have a go at the piñata. Do you know what I mean? Play a game of charades. Don't be going to do the reverse down, whatever the reverse is of the downward facing dog with your Wendy in the wind. Do you know what I mean? This is just complete and utter madness. Oh my, room swapping, by the way. Room swapping sounds like a thinly veiled and hideously depressing Channel 5 documentary about economically deprived people, where they let one member of the family sleep in a room with an electric blanket whilst the rest of the family have to sit outside on top of the green bin, propped up against the window shivering. But they add in a twist in order to make it not seem like poverty porn. Do you know what Next up, we're heading down to Bognor Regis, where we've got the Miller family have signed up for a bit of room swapping. We speak to former factory worker Craig, who lost his job in 2000 after stealing tools from the office workshop in order to fund a trip to the Euros. Kieran, do you want to do the limbo there? Have you got your jocks on? You a milky little toasty boys? Thank you so much for listening to the Weekly Roast, and I hope you're getting into the festive spirit. Let me know which one of these submissions today you think deserves the Christmas cake or the wedding cake delivery, and I will send it out to them before the end of business today on Wednesday. So if you're listening on Wednesday, let me know. If you're listening on Thursday, let me know as well, because realistically I have ADHD. It'll probably be Friday before I actually get to send it. So if you're listening this week, let me know who you think should win. And also, genuinely, I just want to say thank you so much for listening, guys. You don't realise the difference that it does make. And it's just where we've come from this time last year in January, well, this time this year. Good stuff. Where we've come from January, since I'm not even going to, I think we should leave all of this in, because this is the reality of how tongue-tied I get sometimes. Nevertheless, thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. If you're enjoying the show, consider subscribing to the Patreon, patreon.com/Mark Megan. Every week you get bonus content, exclusive material, early access to tickets and whatever. Thank you for listening. Happy Christmas. Last show of the year next week. Let me know what you want roasted. Send me a DM on Instagram @MeganMark. All the best. Much love. Speak to you soon.